Uncle Keith loves to do two things that I don't really care for, and that's driving and talking. And I just drove 1,200 miles to be here tonight. And now I'm going to talk. You got your hearing aid turned up? Because I want to say this one time. I can hear you. Okay. Turn them off too. 100 years. This man has been alive for almost 1/3 of our country's history. He missed World War I, and he was a little bit young for World War II, but he did serve in the Army during Korea. And he told me a story about it. Now, Uncle Keith is smart. Everybody knows Uncle Keith is smart. When he was in boot camp, one day the drill sergeant came to him and said, okay, we're issuing you new rifles. We're going to take you out to the firing range and we're going to do a live fire exercise. So I want you to all walk in a straight line and keep firing your guns and keep walking forward. So they did. Got back to the barracks that night. The drill sergeant says, okay, it's going to be an inspection in the morning. Everybody gets getting polished. So they all shined their boots, cleaned their guns, shaved, cleaned up their uniforms. The next morning, during the inspection, Keith was called out for having the cleanest rifle in the company. What nobody else knew was, during that live fire exercise, he never fired his gun. So it was clean as the day it was issued. I used to spend the summers up at the farm with Uncle Keith, and those were some of the best days of my life, some of the most enjoyable times. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, following him around, doing chores, feeding the animals. Shoveling oats in the wagon during combine season, stacking hay bales on their hay rack, and shoveling manure. Shoveling manure into the manure spreader, and then taking it to the field to spread. Well, I learned to drive on Uncle Keith's big red farm-all tractor. And this man was always so patient, and he never got mad. Even when I knocked down 3 fence posts and all the fencing. And David will tell you, I ran over his dog and killed him. Oh, no. So much for learning how to drive. This man never met a stranger. All of you know that. He'll start up a conversation anywhere. Man or woman, he always starts a conversation. One time when I was up here visiting with him, we were out at IHOP having breakfast. And this pretty young waitress was waiting on us. This was after Aunt Margaret had passed. He asked her, "Are you married?" She said no. He said, as only Keith could say, he says, "Well, are you looking? Because we're available." Uncle Keith and Uncle Ted, they were a trip when you got those together. I remember the Christmas dinners at Grandma Nelson's. They'd both have a contest to see who could get the most lutefisk, mashed potatoes, and whatever on their lepsa. When I would come to visit from South Carolina, he always had his door open. And I always stayed with him many nights at Mill Pond. I enjoyed riding with him on his travels because he always had so many stories to say. And he just made the whole trip enjoyable. He always made me feel like I wanted to be a better man because of the way he lived his life. He was always caring for other people. He would visit my mom and dad, Uncle Keith, Connie and Eddie, and many others. And after my dad died, he would go to my mom's and visit, run errands for her and take her places. This is just the kind of selfless man that he was. He's always been so optimistic. At age 97, he signed a 3-year car lease agreement. And by the way, the Chevy dealers out there, he wants you to sign one for next year.
I just bought that lease car. I got my driver's license for 2 more years.
Oh,
So why has Keith lived 100 years when so many others have passed? Is he because he stays active, he eats reasonably, drinks moderately, and is always optimistic? I think the reason he's lived this long is because of love. This man loves everybody, and everybody loves him back. Ken, Sandra, David, Tracy, thank you for sharing your father with us. I've always thought of him as a second father, and he has surely made this world a better place. I hope you live another 100 years. My face is the last thing you see.